This time, is there someone like to offer an invocation? Come on up.
Let's bow together. Father, we thank you for your goodness and kindness. We thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy that overspreads us like a blanket every day. We pray, Father, for your grace, for your mercy over this meeting, for the city commission. Father, more than anything, we pray for wisdom. Your word says that we lack wisdom, and so we must ask. So we ask today for wisdom. Your promise is that you will give it liberally, that you will give it freely without chiding. And so we ask for wisdom for them today. We ask that they will be judicious, that they will be gracious. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'd like to suggest that rather than having a study session on the ordinance authorizing collection fees, we just take care of discussing that during city manager comments, since we're likely to have a fairly lengthy executive session this evening and no need to keep people waiting on that one. I'm not asking for action this evening, just acquainting you with it, and if you approve, we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Other than that, the agenda is unchanged.
This time we'll move forward with the approval of minutes for the June 7th, 2017 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco and seconded by Commissioner Pounds to approve the minutes of June 7th, 2017 meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to June 21st, 2017 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the June 21st, 2017 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hash and seconded by Commissioner Parker to approve the minutes of the June 21st, 2017 meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to the approval of minutes for the June 26th, 2017 special meeting.
I'll make a motion, we accept that as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco and I believe Commissioner Pounds, slightly beat out Commissioner Hash for the second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to financial matters, appropriation ordinance number 11.
I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance 11.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Pounds, seconded by Commissioner Hash to approve appropriation ordinance number 11. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Financial matters appropriation ordinance number 12.
I move to approve appropriation ordinance number 12.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hash and seconded by Commissioner Sacco to approve appropriation ordinance number 12. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. This time, we'd like to open the floor to anyone who'd like to make a public comment. Okay.
Thanks.
How's everybody doing today?
All right, how are you?
Doing better, doing worse.
Thank you.
copy of this? Got one left if anybody wants to see it. Anybody? My name's Todd Stupka. I live on 1104 East 11th, right on the corner of Church Street. And about 2 weeks ago, I got a ticket for a vicious dog. I own 3 English Mastiffs. And, well, they do not fit the description of a vicious animal, neither in breed nor actions. It was for $880. If you flip the page, you'll see that. This next page, your first tab, what color it is, that is your ordinance stating that everything that, bodily harm, killed domestic animal or person, so on and so forth. It's all in there. American Kennel Club, the good citizen course, is cited in that very ordinance. If you turn to your next tab, you'll see the ACK, or the AKC, actually put out a paper saying that breed-specific legislation does not work. And you'll see the declining trends. You can read it all for yourself if you want. We can do this the long way and I'll explain it all to you, or we can read through it or take the time. It's up to you guys. But in our next tab on the side, it shows, well, basically sums it up, that pit bulls and other breeds that are banned commonly are also used as service dogs, police dogs, everything else. So that's why they're citing that you cannot, it doesn't work. I'm not saying that I'm trying to get all breeds on banded. I'm just trying to make a case for my own dogs and people that have the same type. If you change to your next tab on the top side, you have the top 10 most aggressive breeds. All their sites are what they're cited for, and the people that did the research on that. As you can see, an English Mastiff or a Mastiff type of any type is not on that list. And each one of those in the back, if you want to read about the dangerous dogs, each one of them are listed with an article of what they are and what their failure rate is. Go to the next dog bite survey. You can go from that, flip through it if you want to. This study ran from 2013 to 2016. It's the latest survey done on dog bites in the United States. And the study is done, well, I told you that. The next tab on the side would be where my breed lies. English Mastiff, number 83. Has 22 bites to its name in America, continental United States. That's one chance in 14,609, well, 14,609,091 people. The chances of you being in a plane wreck are 1 in 11 million. A little statistical anomaly. If you want to turn the page, the Bull Mastiff is 111 on that list with 14. And there's other dogs the same size that goes clear back to the back. If you want to look through it, it'll take you a long time because I've already been through it. There are some mixes of Mastiffs, but they're just mixes. But there's over 7,000 breeds in this study, and combination thereof. We go to our next tab, which is our Kansas tab. I pulled up every single dog ban or breed ban in Kansas. We are the only one, if you want to look through the list, we are the only one that has a ban or restrictions on an English Mastiff anywhere in the state of Kansas. Okay, we could go through the rest of it if you like. but I did the surrounding 4 states. There's no Mastiff ban in any of those. I don't know, I guess it makes me mad when I see a fighting mastiff. There is no such thing in breed. You can put the word fight in front of any animal, and it'll become a fighting breed. If you're mean enough, if you're cruel, any dog can be vicious. This as a breed is not vicious. Our animal control person came up to my door and told me I had vicious dogs. She actually didn't know what an English Mastiff looked like. She has to see mine. I refused. I think that is ridiculous that we can be that ignorant, ban a breed, but yet not even know what it looks like. That is infuriating to me. So, I like this, you people that are elected by the people of this city to make a motion to strike this ban against mastiffs. I think I've made my case pretty clear.
So what brought her to your door?
What brought her to a door?
Right.
Somebody gave somebody in this place a email saying I have mastiffs. My mastiffs are behind a 6-foot privacy fence. There is no way you can see them from the street. There's no way you can see them on my property unless you're 7 feet tall. They also have locks on the doors, and they've had locks on the doors for months. Not because I'm scared of them getting out or any somebody getting in, but my kids like to forget to lock the fence, and I don't want to chase dogs around town. My dogs are up on all their shops and all recorded through Tallgrass Veterinary Clinic out north of town. They live in 400 square feet of their own heated and cooled facility. I just don't see where I fit the criteria of a vicious animal.
So how many dogs do you have?
I have 3 English Mastiffs,
Okay.
Maggie, Sophie, and then I have George. From smallest to biggest are 242 pounds, 156 pounds, and 121 pounds.
Have you looked into the process of the Canine Good Citizen Certificate from the AKC?
I already have, yeah. I did all the research on it. One of ours has already been through one stage of that training, which is stage 1, but our trainer up there, because we have 3, we're a class in above our own, they want to be a year old. Well, I only got one of them turned a year last month. There is a waiting list, and the one's only 2 months older than her. I haven't had a chance. I'm not an irresponsible homeowner or owner. I know this is going to happen, but the actual fact that it is happening really makes me angry.
Can appreciate that.
They are known as English Mastiffs, the gentle giants. You can watch any informative video on them you want, and that's what they'll be referred to.
I'm in agreement with you that any dog can be vicious. I know that it's not breed specific. That being said, this is our ordinance. I wouldn't mind an opportunity to revisit this ordinance. It was revisited about a year ago. And this was the outcome of that.
Are your dogs tagged in the city?
They're not tagged in the city because I need to do them off once. Once is the one that you just got was a rescue, and it was actually from an officer here in town that was also not registered with the city. That's my other issue with this. How are we supposed to hold our citizens to one standard but our officers to another? I'm not going to tell you who this officer is, but I'll tell you that he was not in compliance with this ordinance either.
I appreciate that as well.
Well, I do appreciate the fact that you're attempting to, even with our ordinance, to bring them under the ordinance. The fact is that you made that attempt on one of them already because of the age. You're on the waiting list for the other 2. I think that has some merit in itself.
I'm trying to be a responsible owner, but this ban is not deserved. There's 82 other breeds in that list that are higher cases of bites. My breed even doesn't have in this study, doesn't have a fatality to its name. If you want to go on the site and actually go to it and read, There is no fatalities with my breed.
I would like to have time to maybe look at this a little bit more. Our family, we're all dog lovers, so we know what, I know what you're talking about, and have some sympathy for what you're saying. We have a Pekingese that is more like, that would be, probably bite a person more than our other dogs. And, you don't think of a Pekingese as a dangerous breed, but the one, he lives in California now with our daughter, but he's the one that put my wife in the hospital for a few days when her bite got infected. So I'd kind of like to study this a little bit more.
I see that the date on the ticket is July 10th. Is there a way to suspend that or hold that as we work through this process?
Judge grants continues as a matter of course when they're requested as far as reasonable time, so yes.
I would like to have that opportunity. I think there's work that could be done.
Okay. Well, I just think this should be heard, and I don't think this breed should pay the price for, I mean, I don't see any empirical evidence that these are dangerous dogs.
I would agree with what's presented here. Wouldn't indicate that. I have no doubt in the material that you presented. It'd be good to have the opportunity to flesh it out a bit. I've got good friends that are real involved in animal rescue in southern Florida, and they've done a lot of breed-specific research
Okay.
and support this position.
One thing I will say, the one argument I have came up and countered with is the cane corso. I'm pretty sure you guys all know what a cane corso is. Slang term for it is an Italian Mastiff. It is 22 generations removed from any Mastiff family, so it is not Mastiff. It looks like a giant pit bull.
Specifically bred for that purpose.
And I can't speak to their numbers because they're higher than mine. They're higher than a Mastiff, a Bull Mastiff, Tibetan Mastiff, but it's not a Mastiff breed.
Well, Mr. Urey, what's the process that we can help support Todd in the continuance of this? Is that something that he needs to approve before the judge? Or?
Go through the clerk of the municipal court here at City Hall, but I'm sure that they can get a continuance. As far as us taking up the subject, we may need to wait until our first August meeting, since we're in the midst of budget time now, and somebody who has scheduled that won't be here the next July meeting, so probably the first August meeting. We could take it up with the study session and review the reasons for the ordinances and existing practices.
Mhm. Is that agreeable with you?
That's more agreeable. I'm glad that we're at least taking a chance at this with us.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
The August,
Thank you.
Second?
August 2nd.
Okay. All
Here's
will
a-
be your-
Some phone numbers written on one of these pages. Are these your phone numbers, Todd?
No, those aren't my phone numbers. That's a lawyer that I retained.
Okay.
I just didn't have time. I did this in a hurry. I'm a contractor. I own 2 businesses here in town. So this is kind of as fast as I can put it together.
Sure.
I guess it still kind of bothers me that you're attempting, and you've got the dog, one of your dogs to the first process, that was even considered in consideration when this was presented
Fair
to the
enough, we
judge.
haven't heard the other side of the case too.
Right,
Oh, that's fine. That ticket's for only 2 of my dogs.
okay.
I told the owner that or the animal control that one of them has had obedience training, but he still has to go to part 2. So she wrote it for my 2 females,
Okay.
not my big male.
Yeah, I agree that there's 2 sides of this coin, but I think the issue as a whole bears merit in and of itself. This unfortunately brought it to a situation.
Well, I'll be back on August 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Hi, City Council and City Officer Managers. My name's Glenda Schreiber. I know some of you. I'm a resident here in town. My husband and I, we were longtime residents, and we take in foster children. Not that that has much to do with this issue. A couple weeks ago, it came to my attention through CAP, actually. The CAP, as you all know, goes to the pool a couple times a week. So if your children go to CAP, you basically need to be able to get them into the pool as well. And so I just was kind of taking the bull by the horns as heck. And I try to be very civic-minded. I try to support things that go on in the city. And you can usually see me and a tribe of kids about anywhere. So it came to my attention when Annie called me, Annie Bergman, and said that they had a letter down there, and I believe Stacy had wrote it, and then she sent me a copy as well. And it said that they were having an issue with the wrong name being on our pool pass. And I was like, well, I never filled out a form. I have no idea how you got our names. I just presumed several of the lifeguards who work at the pool know our family fairly well, so I just presumed they wrote our names down, to be honest. I didn't think anything more about it. I've lived in several cities there where that's never tracked. When this originally started, whenever I bought the pool pass, I think June 2nd was when it was, I was at work, and I called down to the city office and got how much the pool passes were. They said 5 was 100, and for 7 members is 125. And I said, okay, well, could I send my son down with a check to pick that up? And yep, and I'm like, well, just give me my city bill at the same time. I wrote a check out for it all. And they're like, that'll be fine, that'll be great. And so I sent Darian, my son, he's 13, down to the city office and picked that up. And he came back with 2 pool passes. I didn't think any more about it, honestly. I was just like, oh, great, that went smooth, you know. As life goes, you're moving on. So it wasn't until a couple weeks ago that I knew there was any issue. When at CAP they said, well, Brody can't get in the pool. I'm like, why not? I paid $125. And to be honest, I was feeling generous that day because we really only needed the 5-person pass, because my husband Michael rarely goes, but I only have, you know, right now, 4 kids and myself and Michael. So I was like, Michael could have got in on the one time he's gone this year for a $2 pass. But I was like, city needs the money. I know the pool always needs support. So got the pool pass, and then there came up an issue. And now I understand, I'm a rule follower, guys. I follow a lot of rules with foster care and job at the correctional facility and at the church. You know, I follow a lot of rules. But I think this is just a clerical error that's gone bad, to be honest. Because when I was like, Annie called me, she's all upset, come get this letter. So I go get it, and then I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll go down and take care of it. And so I went down and spoke with Stacy, and she said, well, actually one of the other girls in the office said it. Well, that boy filled out the paper, and I'm like, what paper? You know, and so they brought it over. Well, they had Darian fill out a form. And I'm like going, well, if I'd have known there was a form, trust me, I'd have had you bring that on back to me. Because no one ever mentioned there was a form to fill out. I know my 13-year-old. Love him to death. Now, he's very good taking care of the baby, as you can hear out there. They're squabbling a little bit, but not too bad. But he's not a form filler-outer, trust me. That's not his forte. I would have had that form on back to my office. Well, Darian filled it out for them, and he filled it out incorrect. He put the 2 kids that we had leave in custody, their names on, Presley and Calvin. Well, in the first place, Calvin's only 4, so I would have never put him on. And secondly, I already knew they were leaving custody on the 10th. So they would have only been here for 10 days for the pool pass. So I would have never put him on. But we already had Brody in our household as of May 18th, which I brought this book along just for that proof, not so you can all look through it. That's why I have it here. But it does right here on the very first page say he came into custody on May 18th. So I already had him when I bought the pool pass for the 7 people. So I think this is just kind of I'm thinking it was a pretty easy fix. And I understand they have rules that you can't just switch names in and out. And I agree with that. I'm not saying I disagree with that policy. But I'm, on the other hand, saying I'm not wanting to switch names in and out. That's how I would have always filled out the form, had the form been given to me, an adult, to fill out. No one mentioned it when I called. No one sent the form back to me. I had no idea of the form. Or I would have tootled my little self right back down here and filled it out. So that being said, I think it's a fairly easy fix that, 1, I don't think we should have minors filling out forms from the city office or any other office as far as that's concerned. But 2, I think this is just, we as adults can all admit we made a mistake. maybe I should have outguessed that you had such a form, but like I said, I've lived in several cities who never tracked that at all, or you just wrote on the back of your pool pass who it was for, that sort of thing. So I never gave it a thought, to be honest. So I should have outguessed that, but I think also the city office should have in policy that minors shouldn't be filling out forms. So I think in all good stead, we've missed out. I've learned my lesson. I've missed out 2 whole weeks of swimming because that was on the last meeting that you guys had that was canceled that day, was when I went down to speak with Stacy, and Yuri was unavailable that day, or I would have spoke with him. But that was, 2 whole weeks, and everybody's like, well, just pay another $50. I'm like, well, I don't really want to pay another $50 out of my pocket. I mean, that's out of my pocket, and quite frankly, between that and all the pool lessons, I've already paid $280 to the pool this year. I think that's a substantial amount to have children be able to go to the pool. But not only that, I've had to redo my work schedule. I've missed out on work because I can't send Brody to CAP because they're going to the pool. So I have to keep him out. I can't take the other kids swimming if I can't take Brody. That doesn't seem fair to me. Yes, I could, but that isn't right. And I try to do what's right. So my proposal to you is, can we just fix this and just say, oh, we made an error. We should have always had Brody's name in there. Glenda, you learned your lesson. Go down, don't send Darian apparently. And you guys maybe have learned a lesson. Don't have minors fill out forms. Can we not just do that?
Well, it probably wouldn't have been a whole lot different, perhaps, if you would have sent another family member that was an adult, too. I mean, I can just imagine a 13-year-old filling out that form. So it is an unfortunate error. And I just feel like, if the office staff needs our blessing to make this right, I propose that we do that.
I would agree.
You're not getting over on anybody here, so.
No,
And I also think we shouldn't have minors filling out forms, because, you can't make contracts with minors, so we just have them fill out forms? I totally
Oh, that was
agree.
just an unfortunate
I think it-
oversight, I think.
Exactly.
I think 9
don't
times out of
think-
10 it's
I don't
not.
think anybody in the
I don't think
office
anybody,
was doing anything wrong. They were just doing their job. They just didn't
Yeah.
think about it, and I didn't think
and
about it.
Darian was trying to help his mom.
Yeah, and he never mentioned it. I was like, why didn't you say something? He's like, I don't know,
I'm sorry that you missed 2 weeks of swimming, though. That's unfortunate.
We'll follow your direction and add the name to the form.
Okay. Do you need me to give you the name, Stacy? Do you have it?
Which one do you want to take off, and I'll just.
You can take off either Calvin or Presley. They don't live with me at all. And his
When
name
we
is
have
Brody.
a situation
Your-
like this with foster care, can we not have some fluidity with those?
Well, first of all, thank you, and you should, Mrs. Schreiber, very much to deal with through all this, and I appreciate Sylvester having my comment. On that, you get into the subject which we got into when we started the family passes, we now have them, of what's a family. And particularly the way, we've all seen the definition of family become a lot more elastic and fine with that. So we're not trying to dictate what a family should be, and in order to avoid doing that, we just say, okay, tell us what people are going to be on this pass and that they're all residing in your household. And there are other situations where from time to time maybe somebody leaves and somebody else shows up that we've had in the past, and this is how we have applied it in the past. So the difference here may be how the form was filled out, but understand we have 100 people coming in and over 2 or 3 days filling these things out. And
Over the summer, I would think that there's multiple situations like this where you have stepchildren that come for, 2 weeks or a month, and foster
Actually,
kids
they
that.
don't have to live in the same household. We did change that last year to accommodate this kind of thing.
Mm.
Because we have grandparents whose grandchildren come for a couple of weeks or whatever.
Mhm.
And so now people can add whoever they want. So we don't even, they don't have to be family at all.
But we require them to have it, that you sign up at the time.
At the, when you buy the pass.
But it should be an adult we're dealing with.
Well, yeah, but,
Yes, and that was definitely something that I've talked to them with upfront. I said, we're not gonna do this again.
yeah.
And we're gonna have an adult fill these out, so I'm not sure what happened there, but.
But if Glenda, for example, were to have another child come in to her home and one of her foster kids were to leave, I mean, it seems like it would be reasonable for her to expect that child then, that we would be able to add that new child to that
Yeah.
pass.
I agree with that.
What I think would make some sort of sense would be to have it, I think the challenge is the fluidity that you mentioned before. Well, now Chuck's gonna be on the pass for a week. Well, now it's time for Toby to be on the pass for a week. Well, now Chuck's back on the pass. It's kind of whoever's here. So once maybe, and I think there needs to be some greater discretion with it, but if Chuck's off the pass, then Chuck's off the pass. But he can be on there for a period of time until such time he's off, and once he's off, he's off. Now that could,
Right.
it's gonna get harder to nail down, but there,
Yeah, I guess I feel like we just have to have faith in our citizens. They're not gonna try to,
and I wanna have faith in people too. I'm a social worker.
Faith is one thing and policy is.
I know,
another.
that's
So
the-
we'll try to
there's the
translate
rub.
The realities
that
of it.
outlook into something, and sometimes, we don't have the people here this evening to actually deal with this, and I don't mean by that, but I think Mr. Shriver's been wholly accurate, that's exactly how it was described.
Yeah.
But in terms of the broader overall policy, so I'd kind of like to hear from all that before we try to translate your thoughts tonight into a policy, and we can get back to you on that. I don't think we have any other complaints on this at the present time, so
Yeah.
I'd rather act a little bit more after checking everybody out than change the
I'd like to
policy
have
applies
as
to-
many kids go into the pool as want to go to the pool.
We will have a
so.
different proposal on that for you when we get done with our pool improvements report
great.
also.
Very good.
Thank you, Glenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none at this time, we'll close public comments and move forward with new business. Demolition bids for 433 West 8th Street.
This is the house we received as a donation, and they also gave us some money to go along with it. And the Wells Fargo house. The Wells Fargo house, we're calling it, but,
Mhm.
and we only received one bid, Jensen Earthworks, Matthew Jensen, I've talked to him quite a bit. And it's right in there within the range, we think, so.
Nobody else likes you?
I spoiled him in the past. I'd send him a copy of the ad, and then I realized people were missing that, and then the people that wanted to be on my list for demolition contractors, but then there was other people, so I just said, no, it's done. You go look at the paper. And then I called 2 or 3 of them desperately about an hour before doing, asking if they were gonna bring in a bid, and they said they never even knew it was going up to bid, so.
This is reputable contractors.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, this guy, he's never bid anything before. In fact, he was in town just looking at some stuff, and he just stopped by my office to give me a card, because he was in the demolition business, and I got talking to him, and he asked me if there's any coming up, and I told him this one. He drove by and started calling me and asking me questions, and then he turned in the bid, so. And we figured it would be around that. We figured between 7,000 and 9,000 to take this thing down, so. And he's very professional, insured, everything, so I think it's gonna be fine.
Well, it's our house. We got 10,000 for it. It's costing us 89. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Make sure we're done at that point, and then if there's additional, we might have some suggestions how to spend the rest of it.
I'd imagine so.
Either one of the neighbors interested in the lot, I wonder? when
We
it's-
haven't got that far yet.
No, but one of the neighbors is very interested in the fact that we're tearing it down. In fact, he kind of worked with us on a tree that's right on, one of these trees planted right on the property line and is destroying the retaining wall. So he agreed that we could just top that and kill it, and then he would take care of it as time went on, as it rotted away, to fix that wall.
How big of a tree is it, Bruno?
It's a pretty good size.
Well, gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're gonna have it just top, but the rest of the trees are coming out and we're being removed. It's dumping all, so Ronnie likes to have them that way, cause we usually end up mowing these for a while. Sometimes, so we'll be mowing that one for a while, so the cleaner it is, the quicker it'll go for him.
Well, I'll move we approve the bid from Jensen's Earthworks for $8,292 for 433 West 8th Street.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco. We'll give this one to Commissioner Hash on the second, to approve the bid from Jensen's Earthworks for $82.92 for 433 West 8th Street. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. This time, move forward with the Broadway Plaza Annual Report.
Hi.
Good evening.
As you know, I'm here today to request $15,000 in funding for the operation of the Broadway Plaza for 2018. I want to start with a recap of our goals. There are 7 factors in what we count as a success. One is high-quality construction. I think we can all agree that the contractors involved have done an excellent job in creating a beautiful addition to our downtown. Number 2 is 100 events per year. I will go over this in more detail later on, but as of today, we have 99 events, and we are 3 months away from our 1-year anniversary.
How many of those events are paid?
Are paid?
Yeah. In other words,
Um,
we made money, or we got money for.
I don't have that exact number, but I can get that for you.
That'd be a good number to know.
Yeah. Number 3, a 20% increase in restaurant sales tax after 1 full year. We haven't been a year yet, so that data is unavailable at this time. Number 4, weekend hotel occupancy increase. I will wait until October to meet with Susie to go over this as well. 5, fill empty storefronts. The count was from April of 2016 with 6 for sale or rent and 2 vacant. Since then, we have seen 3 become filled and 2 go back on the market, so we are maintaining at this point. And 6, increased attendance at tourist attractions. This again is something we'll wait for a full year after programming, where I'll meet with tourism, Brown Grand, POW Camp, Nazareth, and I think there's one more.
Orphan train.
Orphan Train, yes. And last but not least, bigger sense of community. It is our number 1 goal, but it is impossible to track. However, I think it is being reached anyway. I can see it by all the organizations that have hosted, that continue to host, and the organizations that are starting to collaborate events.
So on the fill the stores, we're the same we were before then?
Yeah,
Okay, so we haven't gained any filling.
yes.
Thank you.
I will read some testimonials. Easy G's. This is from Ty Gannett. The plaza was a huge factor in picking the location for our restaurant. It has 100% brought more people downtown and enhanced the quality of life. The screen sparks people's interest, and it's crazy to see that from sunup to sundown, there are constantly kids in the splash pad. As far as concerns for my business go, no event will last longer than what we are open, and if the plaza is keeping even one family in town over the weekend, then that is a huge plus. And then I'll read one from Brits. When people walk by my store and are headed to events at the plaza, the increased traffic reminds people about Brits and also increases the chances of someone recognizing the store for the first time. However, I can't say the additional vendors at the plaza are a good thing for my business, but I realize there is some give and take. Our community should have the opportunity and space for that sort of thing, so it doesn't bother me.
I got one question on that.
Yeah.
Are all the vendors that work the plaza local?
No, our food truck is not local. We have a food truck for our concerts. They won't be here the next concert, but they will be the last 2. They're Lowe's Doritos out of Ogden, Kansas.
So, and she made that comment, so it's taking some food away from her.
Yeah.
Or actually we're giving it to someone that's not part of the city.
Correct. And I'm not 100% sure if she's just talking about that food vendor, because we also sell spots on the southeast corner.
But why would we have food vendors that are not part of the city?
Just something different. We do charge them $50 per day, or per event, I guess.
But still, we're taking away from businesses that we built the plaza for.
Definitely, yeah. And it is something that we will change next year. Hopefully, we can do the movie and concert series again, and that is something that we will definitely look into.
Okay.
Well, and also, I mean, if no local people ask to be a vendor, then
For
that's
sure.
part of it too.
I'll move on to opportunities. I just want to highlight some of our upcoming events. Hopefully our businesses downtown will see these as opportunities to keep their doors open later, possibly even offer a special or discount. So we are halfway through our movie and concert series. We're also having Cops and Cones is in July. Parents of Teachers is in July. National Night Out will be an August event, summer on 6th, with a movie sponsored by Rotary. The college is having their Booster Club barbecue cook-off, Reading with Friends, Mason's Barbecue. The other ones are past August. August will be pretty busy. And then possible events for 2018, Kentucky Derby, Ginger Fest, Shakespeare play, and Takeout Tuesday. An additional goal of mine for next year is to increase attendance during the lunch hour. So it's a possibility of showing a TV show, from noon to 1, Tuesday or Thursday or every day of the week, whatever works out best.
So none of the movies or concert series generates income?
No, not for us. We did get a grant from the Community Foundation to help with these events. The concessions for the movies are free. We are letting them use that as a fundraiser. However, we are selling those spots, like I said, in the southeast corner, $10 for vendors to set up. Most of those people are local. I've only had 3 people sign up thus far.
What's it cost for like the ball games and stuff?
We don't have to pay a charge for that.
That's free?
Yes.
No, Cunningham's not charging us anything for their service?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
A few of our concerns are the umbrellas. Our first round didn't last us very long, neither did our bases. I think it's a lot of many different factors. It's the wind. Our prior bases weren't that sufficient. And then also people aren't lowering the umbrellas, so a little light wind knocked them out previously. We do have 2 new ones, though, that seem to be holding up fairly well. I guess options, I could put umbrellas away at 5 o'clock and leave them out on the weekends, or maybe look into writing a grant for a pergola.
We were there, we had our 50-year class reunion this past weekend, and we met down there. Appreciated the little bit about the class of 67
Yeah,
on
you're welcome.
the big screen. And, I think we need to address some shade,
Mhm.
something permanent. And I think that pergola sounds like a good idea, and it probably would not be that expensive either. Cedar post structure or something over the certain area, I guess.
For sure,
that
yeah.
We could set up tables when it is sunny.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for doing what you did to
Yeah, no problem.
make us feel special.
Sorry the umbrellas weren't out. I had put them away the night before because it was supposed to rain.
The trees aren't that tall, but there's a little bit of shade, and we had all the tables stacked up
Yeah.
with the shade, so.
Whatever works.
Appreciate it.
Trees will keep growing and growing.
And there were comments. Maybe some of you have been around long enough to remember Jerry Joler. He was a realtor in town way back when. His son Ron lives in Lawrence, and he made an effort to come up and tell me that he appreciated all the things that the city of Concordia has done to enhance the life in his former hometown. and really made a big deal out of it. And he just
Good.
thought that maybe small towns were the place to be. So anyway,
Awesome.
pass that on. So yeah.
We need people.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Lyle, that, you know, I think the shade is a big factor. I mean, especially if it's really bright and sunny and hot.
Yeah.
The kids can get in the splash pad.
Well, you
Adults might
can
be,
too.
Adults might be a little bit more, but I think that might actually increase the usage.
I agree. Another issue we've come across is the splash pad. We do have a leak under one of the leaves. It's turned off right now, so we will continue monitoring that. 3, pigeons. We have 2 pigeons that have decided to make a home behind the screen. They're
See,
making
people are moving in. See?
they're making quite a mess on the stage.
We'll pay
They
about the
they
same.
do have bird begone spikes, which is something that you just need to glue down. It's an option, I guess. I'm not very good at aim, so if anybody, I guess I don't know what the city ordinance is, so I don't know.
We offered her a shotgun.
I'm pretty sure that
Probably firing guns in the city is probably not a good idea.
Well, you know, turtle dove season starts on September 1st, and they're, you know, very similar, so.
And then the last one is possibly reseeding the lawn. The lawn does get utilized pretty frequently, which is a good thing. Brant Hutchinson has volunteered his time if we would just purchase the seed. I have contacted Republican Valley Landscape to get an estimate, but they haven't returned my call yet. I will follow up with them though.
my guess is with as much traffic as that's going to get, it's going to be, which is a good thing, but probably just count on in the fall throwing down some good grass to help fill in whatever gets worn out.
Mhm. So our timeline, this is from June, so it has 97 events with an estimate of 8,551 people in attendance. 51 events has been in 2017. So as of today, we do have the 99, so we're going to meet that goal for sure. The revenue, I have it broken down for you. Advertising, 60% of that goes into our events line and 100% goes into rentals. But I'll have you click on advertising for me. That top number under 2016 and 2017 is a 60% that's allocated to the events line, and then the bottom number is the total. So for 2016 and 2017, the grand total is $11,746.85. The 60% of that is $7,048.11. And I do have contracts. We offer 6-month, 12-month, and then I recently offered a 3-month. American Legion, the Health Center, Citizens Central, Farm Bureau, Prairie Produce. We also have a verbal contract with Blade Empire. They put a events calendar, Broadway Plaza events calendar in the advertiser the last part of the month. And it has we actually have 24 sponsors for that, so their logo goes underneath that calendar, and they also get advertised on the screen for a week. And then a few people that have advertised for a week, First United Methodist Church, NCK Teens for Christ, the college, Optimist Club, Casa McDaniel Memorial, First Christian Church, Common Ground Coffee Shop, Brown Business, American State Bank, Dandelion Market, National Wildlife Turkey Federation, Me and Moll's Bakery. And that's just a small list. For rentals, when I say rentals, I don't mean paying the $200 to actually reserve the plaza, because we only charge that if the event is private or if it's a ticketed event. Most of this revenue is from tech equipment fees or the concession stand. So for 2016, 2017, it's $993.75, and 100% of that goes into our events line.
And you will tell us of the 99 events, how much generated income as well.
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
yeah, I'll get that for you.
has our tent contractor?
We actually haven't had anybody rent the tent from him yet.
Okay.
This year, the Broadway Plaza Committee and I applied for a grant with the Community Foundation and a matching grant. We were awarded $3,854. Two of our goals were to enhance the quality of life for residents and to have a strong intergenerational appeal with our movies and our concerts. So the total, I'll have you go back. So the total for 2016 and 2017, this is the advertising, the rental, and the grant is $16,594.60. For expenses, the expenditure report shows an admitted budget of $63,910. From January to May, our expenses were $12,586.74. This amount does not include our contracted professional fee of $15,000 for 2017. The breakdown of expenses for those 5 months consists of salaries, Social Security, utilities, maintenance services, water, operating, repair, equipment, and communications. So if our numbers continue to reflect what our expenditure report shows, and you add in that $15,000 for professional services, then our expenditures will be close to $20,000 less than the $63,910.
Since you included 2016 income, why wouldn't you include 2016 expenses so we could be talking apples and apples?
Like on my revenue?
Yeah, your revenue includes
I have that,
2016
actually.
and 17. What's the expenses for 16 and 17?
Well, this is our expenses, this is our expenses for 2017. The revenue for 2017 is $8,391.55.
Okay, that makes more sense when we're looking at it. Thank you.
Hometown pride is a factor in the development and improvement of any community, and the Broadway Plaza fosters just that, a sense of pride. With 99 events since September of 2016 and an estimate of over 8,500 individuals in attendance, our residents have contributed to not only the initial success of the plaza, but also a more engaged community and an increase in traffic to our downtown. I think we are extremely lucky to be able to provide our community with a space that evokes good feelings and experiences that people will remember and share. So please consider the Broadway Plaza for funding for 2018. Any questions?
What are you requesting for the budget? For
15,000 for 2018?
15?
Yes.
And what's that going to cover?
That is for Cloud Corp to manage the Broadway Plaza.
What's your projected expenses for 18?
I do not know that yet.
I'd just like to know
Yeah,
how much of a hole we're going to be in.
I understand.
I mean,
Extrapolate from these figures and put it.
right, I mean,
The expense side is what we talked about in our budget meeting the last meeting.
right, no, but then she's looking for an additional 15.
Right.
So we're gonna kick in the expenses there, plus she wants an additional 15.
Right.
I'd like to see what the whole thing's for.
Well, that's in the budget book right now, I mean, the one that we talked about.
This
last
15's in our budget book?
Uh-huh.
That's what she's
Because that's what we
requesting.
did this year, so I just kept it the same for next year.
It's not-
Okay,
it's
so
not-
so that is the number.
Yeah, it's not an
Uh,
addition to.
That's in our budget, so it covers the 15. And then I would like to know, projected expenses on that too, because that helps.
For sure.
Keeping the balance. I think the plaza's generating people down there. I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, it is also a business.
Mhm.
And we just can't, we have to know what we're doing, and it may come down to a point if we keep drawing out money out of it, where we have to cut back something or charge more for the events or something.
Definitely, yeah.
Because it's important that we keep this maintained.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of questions on, well, who's paying for this? Well, you are, the citizens. So
Yeah.
we have to have justification on the whole thing, and that's all I'm asking. I'm not
Yeah, no
condemning
problem.
or anything else. I think it's a good thing. I think it's generating the people. It's been successful, but we have to treat it as a business too.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Jessica, real quick, I wonder, I know that being here and talking about the budget this is budget time, but would it be helpful for you or maybe make it flow better if we move the annual report to October to where we can go year to year instead of, well, this is a year and 9 months, I'll talk to you in October where we are 2 years. It just seems like it'd make more sense when we're there to start really getting a track on this
Yeah,
and just
that'll
measure
work.
year by year by year as we go on.
That would work.
Put July in the agreement with budget, our budget document, but it seems like the figures, as you said, maybe October, so it's probably a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that way you're looking at actual numbers.
And then you got apples and apples. You know what you're talking about. I agree.
Or we may be able to compare these figures July to July, too. One way or another, we'll try to get all the same.
Yeah.
Once we get a year in, then we could set it up July to July.
Yeah.
And right now, we don't.
Well, but you need 2 years, so you have one to compare to the other, and really 3 starts tracking.
Yeah, so, but the next time around, we'll be able to have a July to July
Fair enough.
figure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We just didn't because it didn't start till October.
Right.
Mhm.
I think it's great. I think one of the things we're looking at, I agree with you, Sam, that there needs to be the highest degree of sustainability as possible. That being said, it is sort of a recreation opportunity and just a quality of life addition to Concordia. Yes, it came at a price, and yes, that we still contribute to that, but to hear the comments that people make and people coming in from out of town, hey, we need to get one of these at our place. It's really great that you're doing that. I think it really sparkles the star that is Concordia. So
Definitely. Thank you.
thank you, Jessica.
I do want to just mention Jessica does an excellent job. She's always over there working on this. Needs very little in the way of assistance or direction. Takes care of all kinds of things I don't know about until after it's done. So she's been a very good manager for us. She's the one who sees the screen and designs the things that go up there. So does an excellent job at that. Also-
Going into that, Amber,
Yeah.
if we're projecting, 15,000, and actually it's almost income to the plaza, because that's what it's gonna be. And then we almost should have it, if we're on our budget, we should have a list and work the budget as well. And so we know the exact, the expenses, and then have a projected net loss in 2018.
I mean, technically we do on the budget right now.
Right now, we have actuals, but we're not, I didn't see anything in the budget
The
projecting
2018,
expenses.
I have a revenue line, and then I have the whole department in the tab that has all the departments listed out,
Right.
line by line expenses. There's one for the Broadway.
And that's the 15,000, but it's just 15,000
No,
Broadway
that's
Plaza.
everything. The 15,000 is one line item in there, but everything's in there, part-time salaries, utilities, everything.
And maintenance and of the plaza? Okay.
And then in the state budget form is where the revenue for the Broadway Plaza is put in on the general fund revenue page. So
Okay.
if you wanted to look at the two like that.
Yeah,
then
and comparing
that'd
that
be
way.
We can put a spreadsheet like that together, I guess.
It'd be a lot
I
clearer to
think that's-
follow.
I mean,
Or it should be shown on the.
well,
system.
actuals are in the packet right now, but budget, yeah, I mean, I can just put the two together.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be helpful.
The other thing I wanted to add was that when we were designing and making choices of fixtures and everything over there, our committee that worked so hard on this project for so long made all these decisions jointly after discussion, with one exception. That was the umbrella stands and the umbrellas. I got those all by myself, the ones that blew apart. The ones that Jessica has found are bearing up notably better, and I think we would just go ahead and, we have more umbrella stands over there than we have umbrellas. We just bought a couple on purpose to see if they look like they might be sturdier. So far, so good, so we might just go ahead and get some more of those. I'll talk to her a little bit, see what she thinks, but we can do that. That'll put some more shade up there. And really, the long-term shade plan is the trees. So when they get a little bigger and it's gonna be a lot shadier over there, that's gonna take several years, so we do need to make adequate provision in the meantime. So it is something we need to work on some more, but I think if we get the umbrellas working right, that'll probably answer
I
a lot
hope
of
that's
it.
not the reason why you're retiring, because of your
Well, I didn't
umbrella
want to,
fiasco.
I'm not afraid to admit this now that I'm.
Now you're
No,
retired?
if that was the biggest mistake I'd made, I'd be a very happy person, and you would too.
Well, this time moving on to the manager's report.
One thing that I mentioned briefly, you, in an email, and you just asked that I go ahead and make a public mention of this evening, was that on June 20th, we got an email from a citizen talking about our crew members being good Samaritans, and that what they had done was, as they were out driving along on their work, they saw someone who had been in a wheelchair and it had tipped over, and they were out of the chair, and they stopped what they were doing and assisted him in the chair and got him going down the road again. And he complimented us on that, and so I passed that along. You asked me to mention it. That was Eric Leduc and Trask Bro of the Water Department who did that. So we do want to commend them
Yes.
for that, and stopping to help somebody, and they appreciate it.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Our library tour is next meeting. We convene here at 5 o'clock, go over to the library. Our cruise has started today on the sidewalk to the statue at the library, so that'll be done. And they'll be ready for us about 5 o'clock or shortly thereafter, next meeting.
Okay.
On the viaduct warning light, we've got that up here. You saw my report. This is a subject that seems to have been around for a while. We do not have an engineered design yet, but we figure it's going to cost $25,000 or more if we have a light that is synchronized with the 6th Street stoplight in the same way that on the south side of town there's that warning light that's synchronized with the Walmart intersection. And that figure was, that estimate was confirmed today with an engineering firm we checked with, but we just heard back from them. This is the Benish firm, the same one that does our airport work, and they're figuring about that, upwards of $25,000 is what we're hearing from them. For one that would start flashing when the light's about ready to change to red on the other side of the viaduct. On the other hand, if we just put up another sign on the viaduct with a flashing yellow light that just flashes all the time, that's $2,500. Or if you prefer, we could put one of those on either side, so you got two lights flashing at you for about $5,000. Given the cost differential, that's what we recommend that you do rather than the more expensive fixture. And frankly, that also, to me, in a way, is an improvement on something I've had in mind about this, and I've heard mentioned in discussions, is if we have a light that warns you that the caution light saying it's about to go red over the other side, does that cause you to slow down or to speed up?
Right.
So this way would be a more neutral, just a warning, one other thing to catch people's eye, and I can see the point. Up to you, we can pursue this either way. We can get this done if you want this synchronized light, but we're talking $25,000 or better.
I'd like to see us, I think, give this a shot. My concern with it is that it's gonna take the truckers who run the routes a week or two to realize that this is a sign they can ignore as they do all the others and blow through it. I think it's absolutely worth trying at that rate as opposed to going forward with the full price. When I talked with Chief Johnson about maybe I think that there's a lot of potential for those semis that blow through there. Maybe they have other consequences other than us spending money to warn them better. Maybe they need to have some consequences for not heeding the warnings that are already posted.
I'll let the chief address that with you in his comments.
Fair enough.
Question, you mentioned one on either side. Are you talking about one over here and one over here, or on the other side of the
I'm talking about
viaduct?
both of them that would be directed at traffic approaching Concordia from the north.
Okay.
And so on either side, you got a light blinking at you,
Okay.
or one.
The one on the south side, did we pay for that, or did KDOT pay for the one on the south side of
By
town?
Walmart, south of town.
That was through that intersection project, so KDOT had part of the cost and the city shared some of it.
KDOT declined to take part in this project. They said we could do if we wanted to, but they
Yeah.
didn't feel that they would share.
I could live with this. I think something's being done. There's good and bad in both ways, but at least try to do something. And I don't think we really need two. I think one.
I think one too.
Down the line. Now, how in the budget would we pay for that?
I think we probably have that on the line.
Okay. I'm fine with the cheap version,
We will proceed. Yeah, thank you.
and I appreciate you guys following up on this. So.
It does seem to have taken a while, but it hasn't been all that long that we heard something from KDOT one way or another on it. So, from that time, we weren't dragging our feet any more than usual, so.
Things take time.
They do. Thank you very much. Then if we could move on to the collection fees ordinance that had been on the study session. What this is about is the city pursues collections of its delinquent accounts in several areas: city court, utility bills, ambulance bills. Have I left anything out? Okay. The only thing we've been collecting are collection company fees on so far is the municipal court fines. It's not a huge amount in that, $387 in 2016, but these things add up. As you can see from the memo, we pay 30% on collection fees, or 19% when it's through the Kansas Set-Off program. So what this would do is let us take that amount that we're paying for the collection fees and add that to the amount to be collected. In order to do that, we need to add a notice to that effect in our water bills, let people know that's part of what they're signing on for when they sign up for water. This is something that I think was suggested to us by the collection company, is that right, Stacy? Or at least we did run it by them. Okay.
And they just were surprised we didn't have anything like
Okay.
that.
And their counsel, their attorney approved the wording of our ordinance on the subject, so that's what this is all about.
Well, I think that would help alleviate some of the hassles from your staff. I mean, let someone else handle it,
Yeah.
and then,
They are handling it, but we don't collect their fee.
right.
So now we would try to do that. And of course, as with all collection matters, you don't collect everything anyway, but we do the best we can with it. Well, if that sounds okay, we'll just put that on the agenda for action at the next meeting. And that's all the comments I had, unless you have anything else for me.
Just a question about this, and maybe it's because it's a personal thought of mine, but in regards to collecting ambulance fees, I know that's important. It's something we have to do, and ambulances don't run for free. I just have a hard time contributing to somebody going to medical bankruptcy because they aren't able to pay their ambulance fees.
Where in that system do we?
I understand.
I don't think, well, first of all, I don't think our ambulance fee is enough in and of itself to drive somebody into medical
No.
bankruptcy fee, but certainly we're one more straw in the whole. But we can quantify this for you. We can show you how much we collect.
It'd be helpful, and ultimately it needs to be what it needs to be, and we need to treat everyone fairly. I just personally have a hard time with it.
One thing I can say about medical is that we have actually had people pay $5 a month. As long as they pay something, we can't, I don't think, turn them to collections. And these are really the people who just totally ignore the bills.
Fair enough.
Right.
And
If-
if they would just call and set up a payment plan, they would never get sent to collections.
Then I'd say let's just make sure that they're aware of that payment plan. Let's do what we can to avoid that, and if that's the choice or the decision or the place that they are, then that's fine. But if we have that kind of flexibility, that's probably what I was hoping for, is that there's that level of discretion where we can do something with them to try to work with it.
Yeah, there's no interest on the money charged. I mean, that person that paid $5 did that for years and years, and finally paid it off with a tax return one year. But I figured it out, it was gonna take her something like 11 years or something to pay it at that rate. But she never got charged anything
Fair enough.
for that, so.
Fair enough.
And
That's-
she was making an effort. She recognized her responsibility. I think that's neat.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Okay.
Anything else, anyone? Thank you.
Commissioner comments?
I'm good.
Yeah, I heard some child fell and hit their head or cut their head open at the pool today.
We
And
haven't-
an ambulance was called. I hope there was nothing serious. Okay.
We did do the run, but yeah, I guess, yeah, confidentiality might be better. We haven't heard of it.
Okay.
Christie, Tim?
We'll look into it, and, you know, if something's equipment related, that's one thing. So.
Well, I just something with the city was responsible for, that's all.
You know, it's equipment related, and we get something wrong.
Yeah.
We'll look into that aspect.
That was my only concern, besides the person's health, of course.
I did have a comment from a local citizen that does refereeing out at the baseball field. And he did comment to me that he didn't think it was fair that the out-of-town referees were getting paid quite a bit more money. I think we maybe need to look at that a little bit closer. If Chris is here next time, I'd kind of like to hear what he has to
I
say.
think he has the final ball game tonight, he's out there. So I'll certainly let him speak to it, he can do it better than I can, but a part of that is, I think he plans to offer the kind of certification that these umpires have over the winter, if there's anybody local who wants to take it and maybe join this outfit, be a part of what they're doing. And the other part of it is, I think he feels he's seeing a much more settled down atmosphere out there with experienced umpires running things. They don't get as many arguments and that sort of thing. We don't have that quantified, but that's kind of what I'm hearing, that their services are entirely satisfactory. But I do think he plans to offer a clinic that would equip local people to maybe join this service or try to work out something over the winter to accommodate anybody local who wants to be in on it.
Because I kind of thought, you know, the price went up,
Yeah.
but a lot of that's got to be, they've got to drive from Salina and back. And I would think that we could offer something like that certified here and let the locals, could gain more and we could pay less.
Yes, and it's a matter of people being willing to invest the time to
Exactly.
get
I
this.
think he did offer, and tried to get the umpires that we have locally to do the clinic and nobody showed up.
Yeah, well, he did, and particularly for, he had a meeting at one of the local restaurants announced, and he had somebody down here to explain. And this, I think, was for the girls' softball program, and yeah, nobody showed up. So maybe
Well,
another
then
time
that's
around,
the best
and,
we can do.
but we'll try again and
I
do
think he
that.
contacted more people since then, and they'll be interested in the future. Like, he had several that were going to do the certification, I think.
That's just a long ways, and I can understand some of the feelings. So we can get that, there's people locally that want to do it, then.
Some of these games too, not all of them, but I think the girls' games, we have one umpire calling where they used to have two, so the cost differential isn't quite double. So that, at any rate, is a work in progress, but the umpiring this year has been solid. At least we are getting
And that's
performance for
good.
the money.
That's good.
I'm done.
I had somebody from the Board of Building Trades approach me, I guess that'd be you, Bruno, about registering general contractors. Is that something you're doing, or you're
Well, it's
talking
been-
about doing it?
There's been members of our board that, for about 10 years, 11 years now, we've been licensing electricians, plumbers, and HVAC contractors. In general, we've never done anything with the general contractors, and that's a very difficult, because there's so many categories. I mean, some people just do sheet rock taping, some people just do concrete flat work, you know. And it's been a point of discussion for a long time, and a lot of the blowback is, you know, the general contractors have no requirements at all. You can just come in and start building. And there's been discussions for years about getting something started. So we talked about the place to start would maybe get them registered and have them, you know, if you're gonna work in the community or advertise in the community, you have to show proof of a minimal, you know, that you're registered, you have a business name, and that you have insurance. I honestly think we have people out there that are doing construction work, you know, decks and things like that and they're not insured or covered in any way, and they're competing against guys that are. And it's a tall task to do for a one-man shop, but we're gonna start discussing it at our next meeting in September. And I've been directed by the board to send out some letters to all the local general contractors that advertise and invite them to the meeting and see what, you know, the legitimate ones are gonna say, yeah, we need it. The ones that kind of fly under the radar a little bit, they're gonna be up in arms about it. But
Do you have any idea what percentage of people who do that kind of work have carry insurance, liability insurance, or?
No, I'd be speculating.
kinda
Yes, I
all
know
over.
they're out there.
Yeah.
I know they're out there,
Mhm.
and I know that it's been an issue sometimes. So that's what we're looking at, and I think somebody told me, somebody on the board told me they talked to you, and I
Oh,
said, that's,
figures.
and they were worried about it, that they were like going over my head. I said, no, you're a citizen, you got the commissioners all you want. But we've been looking at that, and I've actually had a couple general contractors. My very first original general contractor, he kind of quit in frustration because we couldn't get anything going, on general contractor licensing. I think the place to start is with registrations. When people come in town and want to go to work, whether fly-by-nighters during after a hailstorm doing roofing, or whether they've been in town and legitimate contractors, at least let them prove that they're a real company and that they got insurance. And from there, we can maybe figure out a way to license them. But when you get into licensing general contractors, there's a lot of categories there. And somebody maybe never done some, a basement before, but it's very difficult to do. See, getting your categories right, and then every category you create, there's going to be somebody that doesn't fit in one of those categories. A lot of communities, what they do is just create a specialty license, what they call a specialty license. So if you just do one thing, or just some little, things that don't really require permits or that, then they'll register them under a specialty. And how you prove yourself worthy in that field is all over the board. As far as, so there's International Code Council provides tests for everything, but then the cost of taking the tests and taking tests for every little category or something too would be the issue there.
What purpose ultimately does this serve? Is it to protect the
Well,
property
it
owner
evens the
from?
playing field a little bit. If I'm out there roofing a house, if I bid a job and I don't have workman's comp, if I'm not covering my crew, you fall off your roof, the house insurance is, and the homeowner may not even know that. It's your homeowner's insurance is gonna cover that guy if that contractor's not carrying workman's comp. And then they're bidding against, the Geisler roofings and of the trade where they got a full staff, full crew, paying full benefits and all, fully insured and complying with all the rules, lead safe work practices. There's all kinds of things in there that if I'm not certified in those, it's because I haven't taken the time to do it, so I'm gonna work a little bit cheaper. But
Well-
you'll hear a lot of arguments both ways.
I could see that.
Yeah, and, and another part of that is sales tax collection. If the company's doing things right, there is sales tax collected, and that benefits the county, the state, the city. And the fly-by-night guys, again, that makes them more competitive, but, that they're not paying sales tax. So that's another thing that hurts the
I'd
city.
say fly-by-night. I probably shouldn't use that term. There are a lot of legitimate companies out there that follow the hailstorms around. That's just what they do. And
Right.
they make good money at it, and a lot of them are legitimate. But there are the few that'll come in and really take advantage of somebody. And if you can just at least get them registered and show that they have some sort of. But even at that, you're gonna have problems. It just comes with it.
Well, we could probably get together some samples and.
Oh, yeah, I've looked at,
Do a study session.
hundreds of cities, and everybody does it differently. There is a reciprocity issue with the state of Kansas where the testing agencies have legitimate categories, A, B, C, D, and E contractors, and based on what tests you take and what qualifications you get, then that qualifies you to build a certain thing.
Well, if they've got a state license, fine.
But it's not a state, it's recognized, it's a state law that claims if you license contractors for the sake of reciprocity. So if I wanna take my general contractor's license that I earned in Concordia and I wanna go bid work in Manhattan doesn't have to accept my license. But the state law says if you do it under these parameters, then they have to accept that license.
Okay.
So grandfathered in licenses is what we did when we did our electrical HVAC and plumbing licenses. We grandfathered in a lot of people that had been in business for a lot of years. I don't have to accept a grandfathered in license from another community, and I never have. Save a couple of times when the guys, when I knew they knew what they were doing because they're so experienced. But if I grandfather somebody in or somebody, if they're not certified, have taken that test and taken their continuing ed, I don't have to accept them. I don't have to. But if they've taken that test, I've got an agreement that I will accept that, and so will other communities. So if you pass the electrical master's test, you can go right to Manhattan and bid work. You gotta buy their local business license for the contracting license, but the certification, the personal certification is portable in the state of Kansas.
I think I follow you.
Right now, we license plumbers, electricians.
And HVAC contractor.
HVAC, and those are all skilled trades where they have an apprentice and a journeyman and
Master.
master designation, and there are places they can go take tests to do that, and it's all pretty clear cut. It gets a little less though when you get into general contractor. There's a lot of perfectly good contractors out there that have never gone through those skill steps, if anybody has, for general contracting, so you get into a different basis for licensing.
But you've just been talking about registering them.
Well, that's where we thought, that was one of the ideas of getting something going, to have some legitimacy out there, at least get them on a list and make sure that, you know, they're, let's say, certified if they need to be. And, you know, we got a Roofers Registration Act with the state of Kansas that's required for anybody getting on a roof anymore. I think a lot of people around here are doing that without that. The state used to be more restrictive on enforcing that than they did the lead paint rules, which was interesting to me. They were going around busting people on roofs for not having their license and fining them $800 to $1,000, $1,200, but they wouldn't even ask them if they had lead-safe work practices under their belt, which is required if you disturb so much square footage of house or whatever. So, but yeah, we're talking about it.
Let's do whatever makes it the most efficient for us, the most efficient for them, that helps provide the greatest level of security for our people.
Perfect solution. That's a perfect plan.
I task you with that job, sir.
I will do my
We'll be
best.
back when we have that.
We'll see in a couple of years.
More information on this, but as Bruno says, this has been debated a lot by the building state people. It kind of goes back and forth depending on what you want and where you're situated.
And contractors are the worst in the world to get to come and give you their opinion. They'll give you their opinion all day, but not in a public forum. You know, I tell them, get the commissioner's ear, let them know what you think, get them thinking about it, you know, because they'll have ideas too, and maybe talk to other commissioners or mayors from other cities, and maybe it's, you know, sometimes you
So somebody finally has.
happens,
So
yeah, happenstance across the solution sometimes that works
we'll
for
try to
everybody.
put together some sort of intelligible information about what the choices might be, what parameters are and that sort of thing.
Really,
It's a
you
big
can do-
job that we're asking Bruno to do.
You can do all you want, but it comes down to the homeowner or the business.
Exactly.
It's up to them to check out their credentials, it's up to them to check out the license. And a lot of
But we
times
do
they
get-
just look at the price
Yeah.
and that's it. And then they come back after the fact. So you can do all that, but unless they
That's correct.
do it
But
themselves
I do
and check
get,
it, they don't.
I do get occasional call, you know, I mean, probably monthly, I'll get a call or two that asking about a contractor if they're
Yeah.
licensed.
That's how you
Yep.
check it out.
Yeah, you got their license.
Otherwise, you can do all you want, it's not gonna help.
You could put the flashing yellow light, but it doesn't mean they're gonna slow down, does it?
That's my
Thank you, Bruno.
I've got a few issues if you guys are done. All right.
Just a few.
I have three. One is fairly significant, one should be neutral, and the last should actually be fairly positive. The first was brought to my attention, fairly significant water retention in our northeast part of town after that 2.5 inches of rain came overnight. Concerns about the openness of storm water drainage systems and the structural integrity, and I think our integrity was called into question. I don't believe that that is an issue that needs to be addressed. I think we have very solid people that are on this side of the table and on that side of the table. But as being a newcomer to Concordia, I didn't realize that this area of town has historical flooding. As I would think that anything we could do to clear our stormwater drainage systems would help as we work to move heavy rains on, but I didn't know where we are, what could be done, what we're really looking at as far as infrastructure to solve a problem that happens only when we get 2.5, 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time, which is not to minimize the issue, but ultimately water goes in the low spot. There's only so much that can be done, but any feedback or input, any?
I don't know what the areas are you're talking about, but I can tell you, say like Suckett in Kansas, First in Kansas, First in Olive.
Okay.
Some of them areas there, they take on so much water that it actually comes out of the drains instead of running in them. There's so much water coming down through there. And it actually pushes out and it floods them areas, and as soon as it quits raining, it just starts taking it. To correct it, you would have to go in and upsize all the drainage system downstream and build it bigger to handle the water coming back up through there. That'd be the only.
500,000, million, 5 million.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Seriously.
seriously. Because, I mean, I can start, and that's just one area of town, and I can start over on Washington Street where there's another, you know.
All these are big structures underground.
Mhm.
Here's what-
Sidewalk and pavement.
Here's what happened. The city actually started down there on the north end, and we built this way. Well, our drains kept getting bigger as we come up this way, but the stuff down there is small.
So that's the original down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't a response.
I didn't take it as such.
I think
Yes,
we
it's-
spend millions to
You're-
alleviate the problem.
You're talking, well, into hundreds of dollars a foot to build storm drainage the size you need to handle all that.
Is there any way that we can help minimize it? In other words, spending probably millions and millions to correct it 100% is probably not an option at this point in time, but is there something that could help at least direct it elsewhere for the time being, or to help?
Can you put in like a baffler system that would just help run it down line instead of pushing it out?
Essentially, that's what our dams are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
Sure, but just if water starts coming this way, then, and if it flows, it,
Are they just streets that are flooding, or are they backing up and?
Backyards and everything.
Yeah,
'Cause I say-
it gets in their backyards down there. I mean, when you get a really bad rain, it'll come down Washington Street, come down through an alley between Second and Third, and it's all covered with water, and then going down Second Street from Broadway, it's just completely covered on a bad one.
I mean, even
And I've
if
seen it.
even if we did something to just start the system, you know, small parts at a time, but something that shows, well, it tells the citizens, number one is, because they're paying taxes, that we care about them just as much as we do up here with the bigger
Right.
sewers, which is important. I mean, it's almost like, well, that's too bad, you live there, but, and you got small sewers, and that's the way it is. No, I think if there's
You
something we
could
could.
probably start on one end of it and start working your way back up there.
Yeah, I mean, just something piecemeal
Yeah.
and something
Few
that
blocks at
what
a
helps alleviate a little bit and then get a little bit better and then a little bit better. And it does show our citizens that we care about them just as much as people that
Right.
live in
oh
Ottawa.
man, the first thought I have about that though is if you start that, then.
First
it's
thing
almost
I'd
like-
have to do is probably, what we'd have to do is get the storm system studied,
Yeah,
you know, and then go.
but if you
from
start
there.
moving it up, then that's just gonna push a greater
Well,
flow
what-
of water
what
up
I'm saying-
faster,
I
wouldn't
didn't
it?
even push it back that way, I'm talking about.
What I'm saying is you're gonna
No,
have
but
to
if it-
increase the size of
You got the
your,
river.
increase the size of your storm pipe down there to handle the water getting to it,
Right.
so.
I mean, just something to start. And
We probably have some studies available at some point, don't we?
Not
Not
quite
all.
like this, and I think
Probably
Ron's
not
right,
anymore.
that's where that's up. We do have, we've got the storm sewer system map now on our GIS. But I think it would take some sort of a methodology, say what they can do.
Wouldn't-
but,
Part of what we were looking at with the additional, the opportunity to have that other engineering firm to study our, would that be a potential component of that study if we were to use it so we could use it for both?
Well, that was looking at the area from basically 20th Street, 5th Street, for the one that they quoted.
Okay.
yeah, this is really east of the viaduct, which is completely different from the
Yeah.
problem that we have on that
Right.
side.
It's a totally different.
Yeah.
And that's why I mean, we need, some way if we can
It's just
address
water
it some way.
Right.
Some of this is just water goes downhill, and they're in the low part of town, and we do have storm drains. So how much can we, I'm not saying we can't do anything.
Well,
but
at least-
geography is not helping her.
No,
No,
but
it's
but
not.
at least we can look at it and,
Maybe
know,
we
who
can find a
knows?
couple of the worst corners or something and
yeah,
address them.
exactly, Larry. I mean, because I could, I totally can understand where they're coming from, because, we did it on for the west side. We're trying to work on it and the whole thing, and we're just saying, well, you're on the wrong side of town, and I don't think there is a wrong side of town in
To some
Concordia.
extent, it's just intractable. I mean, as far as the floodplain over there, it comes up from the riverside on the bottom.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the rain, maybe there is something we can fix some of the corners, of course.
At least if we take a good look at it, I think, at least we're showing them we care.
Well, I think you have the yield thing there. You look at what the 20th Street project cost and the amount of the volume of water that holds as opposed to what this project may cost, and the I mean, there is some scale there where.
You get a cost benefit situation.
Mhm.
Yes.
Look and see what it would take to do, say, a given corner.
Okay. I appreciated it. I wasn't aware of it, and it was brought to my attention, so. Thanks, Ron. The next thing that was brought to my attention that, I guess I feel like an honor to do, but I'm not. There was questions about revisiting the 4th of July firework blowing up ordinance. I told them that I would raise their concerns, not that I would support it. I love blowing stuff up. I have 2 dogs at home, I have 2 kids at home, so I get the impact that it has to both children and animals. I have friends that are veterans, but there was a discussion. My recollection was that we had done a fairly decent look at other neighboring communities of similar sizes, looking at their ordinances. Ours are relatively in line with theirs. This person commented that he did Salinas, and Salinas only has 2 days. I'm sure there are communities that only have 1 day. I'm sure there are communities that don't have any at all. Is this something that the commission feels needs to be readdressed, should be readdressed? Is July 1st through 4th appropriate? Chief Johnson, did you have any complaints this year? Chief? Did you have any fireworks complaints this year?
Not that I can recollect. I'm sure they got some, but none that made
Okay.
The comments that I've heard is that the days should be that the number of days should be longer. I'm not gonna tell you that I agree with that, but that's what
I would,
I
but
have been told.
Presently, it's 6:00 a.m. to 12:00 midnight, July 1 through July 4. I think Commissioner Hash is right. We hear people saying, oh, it should be later or start earlier, as well as people who are saying the opposite.
I don't want to diminish the validity of this person's request. It was 2 people made an honest request, and I said I do appreciate the impact it has on vets, pets, and small children, and big children. Late nights, it's hard work setting off fireworks, but I do think that our policy is pretty fair, and I think we talked about it, but I wanted to bring it up as.
When
as
do
I
they
said I would.
start selling them? Oh, that's when they sell? July 1st, okay.
So,
So if you're gonna set off any between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., it has to be last year's stock. There you go. Okay.
okay.
Which, yeah, I don't think's a problem from 6 to 8 a.m. on the 1st.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm pretty passionate on this, but, that said, I'd like to see it not be quite as long of a period. I have dogs that totally get freaked out by the fireworks, but that said, setting off fireworks is part of July 4th, and we deal with it. We put a fan on, keep the dogs indoors, and gripe about it, but that said, it's part of July 4th activities, so.
I guarantee you that we have no way to please everyone.
Yeah.
I think. just
We,
leave it
we've
where it's
coordinated
at.
with our vet to help ease their suffering in those few days.
Put them on drugs.
Different ways to slice a pie. Okay, appreciate your patience. The last thing that I have, I think that is a more positive note. Ron and everybody that's been a part of helping all the work happen at Hood Park. The Hood Park Mamas are very appreciative of all the work and everything that's gone into there. They'll be hosting a lunch this Friday from 11:45 to 1, and would invite all the commissioners. I'm sure that they'd allow our friends in the media to stop by, department heads, commissioners. They're also inviting Peltiers and the county commissioners for their part in the wind farm grant. But come over and have lunch at the shelter house.
Lobster?
Yeah, what are they having?
Lobster of the prairie, pulled pork sandwiches.
Sounds good.
When is that?
Friday, 11:45 to 1. Pulled pork. They'll have some other kind of sides. They'll put something together. It'll be a good meal. The county's done some things. Some of the individual neighbors have done some own individual projects there. It's been a really cool thing to see the county, the city, neighbors working together to help build up the park. It's pretty impressive. So I invite everybody for lunch.
It does look nice.
I'm done. Staff comments.
Just real quick, we had a Board of EMS inspection last week ago, I guess, and we had another perfect inspection. So my guys are doing an excellent job keeping up on all the trucks and paperwork and the training that we're doing. The other thing is we have an ISO, which is the fire rating inspection that comes about every 5 years. We have that July 17th, so that will be an interesting thing to see how their view is of our training that we're doing.
Oh,
Is
by
there-
the way, I heard about that because my son comes home for lunch and leaves his radio on. You have a blast when they are looking for you, and so I actually heard it from the radio.
Is there any way to tell how many departments achieve that status? To tell just how
The
special
Board
you guys
of
are?
EMS keeps track of that, so at the end of the year, we will know, but
Okay.
yeah.
I just think you guys do a remarkable
La-
job. And
Last year was about 40 departments out of the whole entire state.
Excellent. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eric, I'm always impressed by by your staff. I think they came out a couple months ago, just how trained they were and courteous they were to the individuals that needed help. And, just, they did a great job, they really did. And they come into my restaurant quite a bit, and they're always so pleasant. And I think, you've got a really good staff that holds up very well.
They make my job pretty easy. So.
Good to hear. Chief Johnson?
Mayor and Commissioners, School Resource Officer Doug Tolman received a grant from the Community Foundation to help fund some of our activities that he is working on this summer. The rest of it is coming from donations out of our DARE fund, so all of the stuff we're doing is not taxpayer funded. We did have the COLA for seniors event. It wasn't as big as we had liked. It only ran about 2 hours. There were officers there to talk to other folks. I think he spent just under $25 for that 2-hour event. The next event coming up is the Cops at City Park. There's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, horseshoe tournament, and a dog show. There's going to be area food vendors, and we'd like folks to register at the Police Department or City Hall by July 20th. During the budget meeting, I told you how glad I was to be at full staff. That's over. Dispatchers put in a letter of resignation, so I'll be looking for one of those here in the near future, and we'll see how long that takes. We're also working with a property owner to give us a better advantage point to do some traffic enforcement there at 6th and Lincoln. We want to get permission from the landowner in order to do that, and we're going to try about 2 weeks worth here in this month and see what we can do there at that location.
Very good.
I heard there was a spotted owl on a tree at 433. No, not really.
Thank you, Chief.
Next.
Water tower project's coming to an end. It's finished painted inside and out. They just gotta let it cure for 8 to 10 days before we can fill it back up. We have to sanitize it and we can fill it back up. So
Did they take the antennas down at the water tower there on the south? That radio, cell
No.
phone?
that's still in use.
Oh,
I don't know.
so you haven't gotten to that one yet?
No.
Okay. There were some people in our area were having trouble with their Wi-Fi, and they were blaming the new tower kicking in, interfering with their Wi-Fi, and I thought, well, maybe it was just,
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about the west tower
right.
over here.
And I'm talking about the
You're
south.
talking
so-
about the east one.
Right.
We've had trouble too.
I
It's
haven't
kinda wild.
noticed
Have you?
anything
Okay.
with
Did you live
interference,
there?
but like I said, that one's getting ready to get put back online.
Okay.
But that looks nice. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then it's this fall when they're gonna repaint the
The
the logos, is
They'll-
that correct?
They're gonna come back and put the logos back on.
The school district and college are each paying for that.
Do you want me to show them? I can email it to Amber real quick.
I guess not.
No.
Well, we'll email it to you and show you.
Okay.
Fair enough.
We'll just do it later.
Yeah, at the last minute,
It's basically the new Panther logo and the new college logo are going on.
Excellent.
the last minute, college started it. They said, is it too late to change our logo? So I'll see what I can do. So both of them want to change. So.
Good.
But they'll wrap everything up, clean everything up, and we'll have to use it with no logo on it for a while, and they'll come back and do it.
Shouldn't affect the quality of water, should
No,
it?
no. But thank you.
Appreciate it.
So you're free to start whatever rumor you want about what we're gonna put up.
Skull and crossbones.
Any other reports? Going once, going twice. All right, at this time, I'm going to need to move to executive session for the discussion of non-elected personnel.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioner, I ask that you adjourn into executive session using the formula we have for that now, for a period of 30 minutes, inviting me.
I move to go into executive session to discuss a matter involving non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy of the persons involved and to reconvene in open session in 30 minutes and invite Mr. Uri.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hash, and seconded by Commissioner Parker to go into executive session to discuss a matter involving non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy of the persons involved and to reconvene in open session in 30 minutes, inviting Mr. Uri. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
A motion we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, so we adjourn. Any further discussion?